So, Fortinet just dropped their Q4 earnings, and wow, while the headline numbers look good, the real story is in the strategy behind them. What's actually fueling all this growth, and what kind of challenges are on the horizon? All right, let's dive in and break it all down.
First up, the big number that everyone's talking about. Fortinet pulled in $1.91 billion in revenue for the fourth quarter. I mean, that is a massive result and a really powerful way to end their fiscal year.
But, it's not just about how big the number is, it's about how they did against what everyone thought they would do. And Fortinet didn't just meet expectations, they completely blew them out of the water, beating the forecast on both revenue and their earnings. So yeah, this wasn't just a good quarter, it was an absolute outperformance.
So to really get what's going on here, we're going to walk through this in 5 quick parts. We'll start with the big wins, then look at what's actually driving that growth. We'll get into their secret sauce, talk about the challenges they're facing, and then we'll wrap up with their outlook for 2026.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, a quarter of big wins. This is where we look at the specific numbers that really made this such a killer period for the company.
The growth was just solid, right across the board. Billings, and that's basically money customers have committed to spend, were up 18%. Total revenue jumped 15%. But here's what really caught my eye. Product revenue was up a massive 20%. In a world that's totally obsessed with subscriptions, seeing hardware growth like that is a huge statement. And get this, they did it all while keeping an incredible 37% operating margin. That just shows how incredibly efficient their business is.
Okay, so that brings us to Section 2, the 3 growth engines. Where is all this growth really coming from? Let's unpack the why behind these powerful numbers. The single biggest story here is unified SASE. That's Secure Access Service Edge. Billings in this area grew by a staggering 40%. Now, if you're not familiar, SASE is all about combining networking and security into one service from the cloud. For Fortinet, it is without a doubt their fastest growing engine right now.
But here's the thing. Fortinet is playing a totally different game than its competitors. A huge part of their strategy is something called sovereign SASE. This actually lets customers run the entire SASE solution right inside their own data centers. So what's the key takeaway here? It's all about control. It gives companies the power to meet all those super strict data privacy and sovereignty laws.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to this quote from the CEO, Ken G. He's basically saying that none of their major competitors even offer this. This isn't just a cool feature, folks. It's a massive competitive advantage that makes their potential market way bigger than everyone else's.
But it's not all just about SASE. Fortinet is firing on all cylinders. They saw over 25% growth in what's called operational technology. We're talking about securing things like factories and critical infrastructure. Their AI-driven security operations business is up 21%, and even their core secure networking business grew a very healthy 13%. It's really a picture of broad-based demand.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, Fortinet's secret sauce. How exactly do they pull all this off? I mean, how do they compete and win in so many different areas? Let's look at what makes them tick.
Their strategy really boils down to 3 tightly integrated pillars. First, everything they make runs on one single operating system, FortiOS. Second, they design their own custom-built computer chips, called ASICs. And third, they build these unique offerings like Sovereign SASE. It's this deep integration, right from the silicon chip all the way up to the cloud, that gives them their real edge.
And let's just double-click on those custom chips for a second. The company says their ASICs deliver 5 to 10 times better performance than competitors who are just using off-the-shelf parts. Now think about that. We're not talking about a little speed bump. This is a massive leap in performance and efficiency, which also, by the way, means it costs their customers less to run over time.
All right, so far it's been a pretty rosy picture, but now it's time for a little reality check in Section 4, headwinds and price hikes. Because look, while everything's looking great, the company did admit there are some real challenges on the horizon.
So, is the path forward just completely smooth sailing? Of course not. No business operates in a vacuum, right? And Fortinet is no exception. They're definitely facing some outside pressures they have to deal with.
They were pretty upfront about a few key risks. Those lingering supply chain issues are still a thing. The cost of memory chips, which can be 10 to 20% of their total material costs, is going up. And of course, changes in foreign currency rates could also cause some problems. So, what do you do when your own costs are going up? Well, you raise your prices. Fortinet said they plan to increase prices on the affected products by anywhere from 5 to 20%. It's a direct move to protect those impressive profit margins they have.
Let's bring it home now with our final section, the 2026 outlook. After such a strong quarter, and after acknowledging the risks, what is Fortinet officially telling investors to expect for the year ahead?
Well, their official guidance shows they are still feeling very, very confident. They're forecasting billings between $8.4 and $8.6 billion and revenue between $7.5 and $7.7 billion. The bottom line from these numbers, they expect that double-digit growth train to just keep on rolling.
And they also made a point to talk about the Rule of 45. This is a key benchmark for the most elite tech companies, where your revenue growth rate plus your profit margin add up to more than 40, or in Fortinet's case, 45. To hit this for a 7th straight year, that is incredibly rare, and it shows they aren't just growing for the sake of growth, they're doing it profitably.
So that brings us to our final thought. Fortinet is clearly firing on all cylinders, betting big that its integrated platform and custom hardware will keep it ahead of the pack. But the big question remains, in an industry that's being completely reshaped by AI, will this proven strategy be enough to keep them on top for the long haul? That's the key thing we'll all be watching.